the Earth was a lifeless rock before, and someday it will be again. But not now. Not like this. Not on our watch. Welcome to Legends, a series that delves into the lore within Horizon Zero Dawn, a world with an abundance of powerful and moving history begging to be explored. In the past, whether as a focus or indirectly, we have discussed a majority of Gaia's subfunctions, all of which support her in her directive to renew life on what was once a dead planet per the wishes of all those involved in Project Zero Dawn. Today, we focus on two more of those essential pieces, the subfunctions ARTEMIS and ELEUTHIA. We begin with the former. Named after the Greek goddess of the hunt, ARTEMIS was designed to reintroduce animal life once the planet had regained the ability to sustain them. To head this project, Dr. Sobek recruited Dr. Charles Ronson, a talented and passionate conservationist and presumably a prominent authority in ecology in his time. He was tasked with gathering genetic samples from across the globe to preserve as many species as possible to be reborn after the Pharaoh Plague had run its course. Due to a staggering increase in extinct species between 2000 and 2043, the practice of capturing their genetic makeup and keeping them in cryostorage had become the practice of the day. Through this network of frozen zoos, Dr. Ronson was able to obtain countless samples of extinct species that, if all went according to plan, would thrive once more. He also organized recon teams to collect as many samples as possible from the current animal population, and though this process was mostly successful, as the Pharaoh swarm closed in, many irreplaceable samples were lost, making their extinction permanent. Coordinating with Dr. Sobek, Dr. Ronson designed ARTEMIS to operate autonomously through its initial primary succession. Once conditions were suitable, pioneer organisms for a balanced and sustainable biosphere would be reintroduced. Those named being microorganisms, insects, rabbits, hawks, foxes, and wolves. We can also presume boars, turkeys, and several species of fish would be included in this preliminary wave, as they can be seen throughout the world of Horizon. However, thousands of remaining species would have to wait until the next generation of humanity to be born first. Dr. Ronson wanted assurance that the people born into this new world would fully grasp their responsibility to steward and conserve these animals, a duty they would come to understand through their education provided by Apollo. Once armed with this knowledge and understanding, they could begin the process of restoring these species and hopefully avoid the many mistakes of those who came before them. Unfortunately, this dream would not be realized, as the executive decision made by Ted Pharaoh wiped all traces of Apollo from Project Zero Dawn. Without this knowledge, no other species would be reintroduced, and is the reason why only a comparatively minute array of animal life is seen within Horizon. Another program that would suffer due to the actions of Ted Pharaoh is that of ELEUTHIA. Inspired by the Greek god of childbirth, this subfunction would be one of the most ambitious undertakings in all of Project Zero Dawn. Responsible for spawning a new generation of human life when the Earth could once again sustain them, a global coalition raced the clock to construct cradle facilities across the world capable of storing countless zygotes and the technology to birth them into a healthy population. To achieve these lofty goals, Patrick Bashard Klein was brought on as ELEUTHIA's alpha, an expert in the fields of cloning and genetic engineering who had also been instrumental in drafting legislation in tandem with scientific breakthroughs. However, even with Klein at the helm, this tech initially proved problematic, but led to a very interesting development. In order to overcome the incredibly restricted timetable that Zero Dawn demanded, it would appear that Elizabeth Sobek reached out to the future consortium, Far Zenith. Trying to achieve similar goals with the Odyssey, Far Zenith shared their technology with Project Zero Dawn. The ectogenic chambers arrived 2 days ago. I've spent the last 36 hours examining them and poring over technical documentation. They're a revelation. Astonishing. I don't know what you had to give Far Zenith in trade to get these chambers, but it was worth it. In a single leap, their embryologists have vaulted past 50 years of technological shortcomings. The risks of ECMO resolved. Nutrition delivery resolved. Hormonal stability resolved. 12 other risk areas resolved. Before I examined these chambers, I considered the Odyssey to be a fool's errand. But if the rest of Far Zenith's technology is at this level, well, a human colony around Sirius doesn't seem so impossible after all. Mass fabrication of the chambers will present a number of challenges, but I'm confident they can be resolved. I'm going to rest for a few hours, then get back to it. Expect a fabrication plan within 48 hours. Patrick Bouchard Klein. If you watched our Odyssey project video, you may realize I have to backpedal a little here. Though still not totally sold on that theory, this does prove that there was substantial contact between Project Zero Dawn personnel and Far Zenith. This makes the possibility of the Odyssey knowing the true purpose of Project Zero Dawn far more likely than I had previously thought. But, back to the subject at hand. These chambers were fabricated and distributed to Cradle facilities successfully and were locked down before they could be discovered. Initially, Eleuthia was successful. Through artificial wombs, the next generation of humans were born, and per Klein's design, they received comprehensive early childhood development and education. They were cared for and taught by automatons known as multi-servitors. But once older, these young men and women demanded more than these caregivers could provide. Once old enough, these children were intended to partake in Apollo, to learn of their origins and gain the skills to rebuild civilization. But as we know, this would not come to pass. After Pharaoh's purge of Apollo, these individuals were denied access to these learning centers, and once resources within Cradle facilities ran out, this new generation of humanity was released into the wilderness, with no skills to survive and no inclination of where they came from. These would be the ancestors to the many tribes and cultures Aloy encounters throughout her journey. As for the present operation of these subfunctions, their current location and conditions are unknown, as they were released from Gaia's control by the unknown signal that freed Hades and began Aloy's journey. For Eleuthia and Artemis, their true potential remains unfulfilled. But as small chance as it may be, perhaps someday we will see their true power realized. And with that, our journey comes to an end. If you'd like to see more content like this, likes and shares are always appreciated. And if you really like our stuff, subscribe away. Do you have a great topic for our next episode of Legends? Let us know in the comments down below. If you missed our last episode concerning the Odyssey project, be sure to check that out after this. And until next time, thanks for watching and keep questing.